Hey Reluctant Preppers, the following interview is an encore presentation of one of our classic interviews for the benefit of our recent subscribers. Hope you enjoy it. Hey Reluctant Preppers, if you haven't heard, we've already started our monthly 1-ounce U.S. Silver Eagle thank you gift to one active Patreon subscriber each month, signed by your host, Dunnigan Kaiser, and you don't want to miss out on that.
Please help us grow by subscribing today at patreon.com/reluctantpreppers.
As a responsible person with growing concerns for your privacy and personal liberty, you want to know where we're headed and what you can do about it. We ask the experts what you need to do to take prudent and responsible action to safeguard your family's wealth and well-being, and what basic first steps will help you to be aware and prepared. ReluctantPreppers.com.
What does this all mean? So I think we're clearly understanding that the powers that be have basically unrestricted ability to either hold up the markets or crash the markets, and with, again, a collusion between the major brokerage and banking firms, and with the full cooperation of people acting in the U.S. government, and frankly a revolving door between the two of those. So what's the point of this? Back when you talked about the Great Depression, you talked about the point of it being to intentionally crush the middle class. What do you see as being the point of these markets? Is it just market raiding and pillaging and plundering, just profiteering that was the main driving factor here?
Well, certainly in the scale of the financial markets and the grip that the financial markets have on the well-being of most Americans. I mean, they manage the pension money. I mean, they certainly have access to that. That's basically retirement. Much of the investment funds that people have are put into the markets, and the amounts that they're able to take, just the year of 2008 alone, I believe was estimated $13 trillion in just that year, taken out of the capital of Americans. And again, that was the most sophisticated of the orchestration so far in terms of really making it happen with a detailed plan. I can go into that, but there is a great deal of money made in ways other than the crashes, but certainly that's the fastest way. And there is a severity of the effects of the crashes on the economic well-being, financial well-being of the middle class. When I'm saying middle class, I'm not talking about just your average Joe. I'm talking about the whole middle class, including the upper middle class, which are the people who are quite successful and work hard and make lots of money, whether they're in corporate or financial or other areas. The major tech companies, there are a lot of entrepreneurial people in that industry that were ruined, cut off at the knees, their technology stolen, all that sort of thing has a very negative effect on the breadth and the competition within the economy, and it helps the big elitist players maintain their monopolies. The giant corporations that remain players no matter what, those are the ones that have the ties through ownership and otherwise to the major banks and to the owners of the major banks and to the government and so forth.
That seems to parallel what you talked about back in the Great Depression, and was this killing off of small banks, local banks, regional banks, and consolidation of power and wealth into only the major banks. I guess you talked about that happening even starting with the formation of the Federal Reserve, and that the rules were being made by those who could then force out competition. So in a sense, there's different kinds of middle class. Like you're saying, there's the ordinary people we think of as the middle class, but there's also this struggling small businesses and medium-sized businesses that are being choked out by the same elite.
Well, let me tell you that that manifesto of the ruling elite I told you was published in 1901. It was an interesting there was a little aspect that you mentioned about the upper middle class. There was a particular level of vehemence, of kind of poisonous anger at what they call the lazy rich, those idle wealthy. In effect, the best definition I can give you of that is people who do well, who are not willing and are not participants in willing to kill the middle class. I mean, if you're not part of the cabal and you're not on the team of those who want to wipe out the middle class, the earners, the producers, then you're called the idle rich, and they describe them as clipping bonds or snipping, the coupons on fixed income and things of that sort, and don't really participate in the class warfare on behalf of the ruling elite. That covers a lot of people in a lot of different economic brackets. But when I say middle class, I'm not just talking about the people who are, wage and salary by the hour workers, things of that sort. But it certainly includes them. It includes all the way down to the poverty level, where people are living hand to mouth, that just have to be put in the level of poor as opposed to middle class. And there are way too many of those. That circumstance was best described in the book that I'm not sure I mentioned to you before, but it was an 1880 book called Progress and Poverty. That was an extremely influential and insightful book. In 20 years, it became the best-selling book on an economic subject by far ever written in history. That was between 1880 and I guess maybe 1905, 25 years. 2 million copies sold worldwide in multiple languages. And it basically told why there are so many severely poor people, ordinarily living cheek by jowl with extremely rich. And it's too much to go into at this point, and with the subjects that we have to cover. But all of this fits together in terms of the ruling elite's approach toward wanting to destroy the middle class, because those are the only people that really have the political capability to challenge the upper class, not the upper class, but the ruling class, the ruling elite.
I see. So the middle class and the business layer that's at that level are the only ones who are considered a viable threat to contenders.
That's right.
Okay.
That's right. And that is why that manifesto made absolutely no bones about it. In order to destroy that middle class, the entire fabric of society was to be destroyed right down to the dust. That was the prognostication of what would be necessary. But certainly their objective was to destroy the middle class completely, not just kind of pull its horns a little bit, but to destroy it right down to the grass. And it was quite descriptive in its terms about what kind of approaches seem to be inviting as to possible approaches toward doing that. And one of the things they said clearly is that by the year 2000, the nations that hope to lead this world and this whole initiative toward restructuring society with just the ruling cabal and the slave class, that the nations that hope to lead that world would be the ones that first learn how to poison the people that we don't need, that we don't want, to exterminate them. And that was the word, poison.
They say the stock market crashed today.
Yeah, I heard that.
Sounds Sounds like people's retirement accounts and savings accounts are going to get bailed into the banks.
Yeah.
Looks like pension plans and Social Security are going to get suspended too.
I know.
Sure, I'm glad we decided to put our money into gold and silver instead.
Me too.
Get your first ounce of silver at spot price and free shipping on any order over $99 at sdbullion.com/RP.